So is laughter a human invention?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Composer Gloves here, and this is a video on the conventions of liquid drum and bass. I know there's some guy out there, I forgot your whole name, but I know it's got the word wobble in it, and he is pretty excited about this deal. Now, this particular track is just something I slapped together to just demonstrate a couple principles. It doesn't sound very good at all. I'm not going to continue to work on this. However, it does display some of the concepts pretty simply. So these are the conventions of liquid drum and bass. There's another one called, so at this point, you can get minimal, you can get all these different things. And mixing is kind of really important in this one because usually there's not very many elements. And so you have a chance to really make a couple elements really shine and be detailed and sound nice. This one, you don't have to get utterly complicated to do. If you're brand new at drum and bass, this tends to be an easier genre to accomplish. Now, there are sort of like 4 or 5 basic concepts here. One is it shares with melodic drum and bass in that you use chord progressions quite frequently, lots and lots of chord progressions. You use vocal chops an awful lot. So I actually have vocal chops in this one. I used Sly 6 and did this. So we're going to make a track and, explain some of this stuff. So I've got vocal chops. I have that now. I've also got piano as my chords, my chord note things right now. The other big convention is some atmosphere. It's all about atmosphere. It's called atmospheric drum and bass for a reason. Now there, for the drums are, you reach the point where you get to the drop, and the drop isn't like a boom, like you've dropped. It's like a, you are experiencing the universe all at once. And there's a fly in my room, and I do not want to experience that anymore. So what it is, so that's the drum. So when you drop and you go, so it's a very different drop. It's a very smooth drop, and usually the sub will come in at the drop. And there's almost always, without exception, some sort of a subby thing down there. Sometimes it sounds like some sort of twisted up tom that they like did weird stuff to. Other times it sounds just like a regular sub. So this one I have a regular sub. So for examples, now let's just play through some of these. So I tried to make sort of a stereotypical deal here, but I wasn't too stoked about it because I was just trying to be, I should have written a track rather than done this, but it displays the principles and I didn't want to spend too much time on it. So this first part, they're open. So the structure of, oh my gosh, see, told you, don't want to experience this fly anymore. I've already got like 2 in my room that I got rid of yesterday. I don't know where they keep coming. They come in my window. What is the deal here? So the structure of liquid drum and bass. So there's all these different kinds, right? There's like there's the minimal where you have small amounts of drums. Like it's a lot of sort of short, small sounds, and that creates your sort of rhythm. And then you have a couple big sounds that really pop as a result of all the small stuff by comparison. Now, the structure, I want to finish this sentence, is typically there's a longer intro, very atmospheric, lots of textures and chords and pads, and then the drums just sort of come in and sweep you up, and then away you go. They're like carrying you away while you're high on marijuana or whatever it is you're doing at the time. They just take you away to some weird place. And so that's another very common thing. They have big elaborate intros. I did not bother with the structure in this one. We'll look at that when we get to the track. And then it just jams. Like it's not complicated. It's very trance-like in nature where you're just jamming. You're just in that one moment. You don't need a lot of chords. You don't need a lot of notes. You are in the moment. That is sort of it in a nutshell. It's very transcendent, shall we say. So here's the intro. And then you're going to hear these drums come in, and they are just some hi-hats and stuff, some sort of minimal in nature. And then I have this kick. You'll just hear these kicks and snare come in. And again, this is not like mixed, not the sounds I would settle on, just showing you some typical stuff to achieve a similar atmosphere. And then I make the chords. You'll notice I really simplify the chords when we drop it big time. I'm just like, simplify it out. We're just living, we're existing in this moment right now. And then I have a bass come in right here, which you can't see because it's part of the layer. But here it is. I have a bass. It's a simple, I did a little bit of FM. Ooh, and that's in operator 1. So yeah, really simple sub bass. Sound design with Harmor 1 if you're really curious. So here it is. So that's pretty much the idea. Now, of course, there's a lot of things like the bass should not be sitting there like that. It could be moving around. It's another very common thing is I'll have this bass that's like doom dun doom. And the bass from liquid drum and bass feels really similar to jungle. So it's that kind of a vibe, and that usually flies. But here it's all about mood and atmosphere. So if you can achieve the mood and atmosphere, you're good. Of course, the long chords come in a little funny here. One thing that's really cool that I didn't mention is that you can get some really crazy sort of chord progressions going here, and you can just get really fancy with those if you really wanted to. I'd be a little careful about getting too crazy, but as you saw, I have weird sort of chromatic things that are just unusual stuff, and I wasn't like being like some sort of a genius here. I just wanted to. I literally just wrote them out and then moved them down chromatically. Like there's nothing like that was like, oh, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. I did not get that crazy. And then there is, at the beginning here, I was reminded that this is sounds a little fast at the beginning, but sometimes they start off that way. They share melodic drum and bass's love of using melody as well occasionally, but the melody is not the focal point. That's the main difference. It's not the big moment, and sometimes they're just a bunch of small counter melodies to embellish the chord progression. And one other thing about this is these songs can they can really vary in tempo. They can be pretty fast. They can be like regular drum and bass speed. They're not usually super fast. They peak around, like 175, 180. They don't too often go high into the BPM land. But what makes them unique is they can drag all the way down to like 150 and still be considered liquid drum and bass. So it's got some pretty wide tempo range. So I chose 165, sort of an in-between. And yeah, that was it. You'll notice, so we got this minimalistic percussion, the vocal chops, and we got something kind of cool that we can work with as a bass. So we're going to make some drum and bass, some liquid drum and bass. It's going to be fun. And I don't know, we'll see where it takes us. I'm going to come up with some sort of an idea of what we can do, and that would be great. I was thinking of maybe calling it Experience the Universe, or the Universal Experience, or something, something universal, because universal is cool. That's universal. Like, wow. I don't know. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day. I'm going to explain exactly what you should expect. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what music theory is and why it matters to you, so you have reasons to continue on. And I'm going to be teaching it from two perspectives. So the first one, I guess I'll start with the one that's not very common, is the MIDI. I'm going to be teaching it inside a DAW, and you're going to be expected to know different things and learn them differently, or at least I'm going to teach them within it.